3:30. Do I have a volunteer to take notes, only because Kara is not going to be here today, and it's a little tough to run a meeting and take notes at the same time.
Well, I could sort of take some, but if somebody else wants to take some too. I wouldn't
Double
object.
team.
I know where everybody is. I guess I do know where everybody is at this point.
I'm waiting
Think so.
now.
Actually, here's the roll call.
Oh, yes, okay, so we just
Sign it.
pass it around.
Yes.
That's good.
All right. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at the January minutes?
Let's see.
I'm passing around a roll call sheet too.
Okay, so.
What's that?
I can't remember the senator's name, what was it?
Ward.
Yeah. Senator Ward. How hard is that to remember, right?
That's a delay. Failed. Sorry.
So I can remember the line, but I can't. But do you know if Barbara Shaw was reappointed to this committee?
Yes.
She was?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Is she on the email list? I was just wondering.
Do you have Barbara Shaw?
I'm gonna check that right now.
That should be one of the
It should be.
ones that I gave you, but sometimes things get lost in hyperspace.
Yes,
Okay,
she's on there.
great. I'll talk to her about her attendance.
Well, she did tell me
But
that,
that's okay, I'll remind her friendly, we're friends, so.
Does anyone have any changes to the January minutes that they would like to propose? No. I have a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Michelle,
second,
seconded by George. All in favor?
I,
All right. Meeting minutes have been accepted. Our chairman's report, now me. First of all, thank you very much for putting your trust in me to be the chairman. I hope to live up to it. Hi. How are you? No, I made it faster
How you
than I
doing?
thought I would. That's awesome. Here, I'll give you, still give my balance too.
we got here earlier.
You're welcome.
And then Dave, you break the speed barrier.
Yeah.
How far you retired.
The first thing I have for the chairman's report is just the SAA meeting that Helen and I attended. We got really good feedback. We just went up and spoke for just a few minutes about,
She was awesome.
well, my introduction was pretty stellar, thank you. Just went up and spoke about the technical advisory for a little bit, introduced myself, and just spoke really briefly about being the new chairperson of HEAC. Really putting myself out there saying, does anyone need anything from us, please come to us. I got fielded a couple of questions about how to contact the entire homeschool community, if there was any centralized contact group, which there isn't, but we have enough representatives that we hit most of the state with who we have. And I guess it worked because as I was dropping off some of the bicentennial art contest submissions at an SAU today, the superintendent recognized me. So
Nice.
this is good.
Yeah, it's also a good reminder for them to know that I am a rep for them.
Yes, big time.
Although I'm not a superintendent, I do go to their monthly
Right.
meetings,
Mhm.
around, I see them all. Just call me,
Right,
send me an email.
put faces to the random acronyms flying through the air.
Yeah.
So that went well back in January. The 51% statement. So this is also something I've been receiving feedback on from a lot of homeschoolers who are concerned that there is this statement flying around saying that parents must direct 51% of their child's education. And while this probably wasn't a big deal a while ago, it's becoming a big deal as co-ops and more group activities come into play with homeschooling. There are a lot of parents who will all get together and
Maybe
maybe,
more online classes.
and a lot more online classes, and a lot more, pay for this class and outsource just one class here and there. And there are homeschoolers who would like to either see this confirmed or kind of laid to rest so they can stop panicking. Does anyone have feedback on that, of where this came from or where we can validate or?
Well, all it is really, it's an understanding. There's no, it can't be enforced.
Okay,
It was something that came about years ago because the department was trying to figure out, well, who's a homeschooler? And back then, there wasn't all this online stuff. And so it was basically, okay, as long as they're doing more than half. Well, what's more than half? Well, let's call it 51%. Because that just gave a kind of guideline. But it was never, it's not something that was, it's not in the rules, and it's not something that has any enforcement. It was just intended as a guideline.
George,
Tara, how you doing?
good.
Good to see you.
They gave me another term with you.
Yeah, I was just asking Glenn if you knew.
welcome.
That's okay. No, I'll go down there. I'll go down and sit with Glenn.
Minutes.
Nothing like disturbing everything, walking in and taking over.
I love it.
I apologize.
Nothing to
No
apologize
need.
for.
Your nails are awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I have something about this.
Great.
I think the issue is, well, partly also, it used to mean one thing and another thing, but the issue is sort of the verbs here. At the coalition, we tend to say, well, the understanding had been 51% of the teaching, as long as you're still directing the student's home education program. So if they're taking 2 online classes here and a co-op here, you're still directing the education.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the word
That's
directing.
mine as well.
There's the word teaching. In the law, the verb is provide.
Providing,
I also
yes.
think that when the law was written, the intention was not anything to do with are you really teaching your own kids or anything,
Okay.
was to stop people from just setting up private schools, because there was instantly the, well, I'm gonna homeschool my kids, and I can take a couple other kids, and then I can just sort of teach them all, and that's homeschooling, and you know better than I do, that the wording was in there to kind of prevent people from setting up their own private school, and those are sort of the most distressing requests we get,
Okay.
I've got 6 other kids who are interested in coming to my house, and so the question is, was the goal to decide what is homeschooling and how much the parents should teach, or was the goal to prevent things that they didn't really define as home education? And then the question becomes, how do we define it now? And I think we maybe can't put it in rules.
The thing is, it seems to me, one of the things that has to change in the law is, right now, there are several unlesses. You gotta be in public school unless you're in private school, unless you're homeschooling, unless you've got a dispensation, that's not the right word.
Close. Exemption.
Exemption. There's several of these. Well, one of them needs to be, for example, unless you have, I'm not saying this is the exact wording it should be, unless you've hired a tutor. Right now, the law does not allow someone to hire a tutor for their kids and keep them home.
Unless it's agreed upon by the Department of Education and the resident district.
Well, yeah, if you have, right, well, it doesn't have to be the department, it just has to be the participating agency.
Okay.
We've done that.
See, yeah.
Children, for children with disabilities, sometimes you need to
Yeah.
set unique programs that are not.
Right,
Right.
but if you're just a, if you're just a regular parent whose children don't have difficulties, you can't just go out and do it, you have to have somebody's permission to do it. And I think that's really at the root of all, this whole thing about 51%, is, okay, what's education? And homeschoolers got an exemption for homeschooling, and maybe there need to be more exemptions. That's not something we can deal with here, but I think that's the root problem, is that there isn't enough flexibility
In the law.
in the law. Parents don't have enough choice. Barbara?
Joan, is that accurate? Because I thought, I mean, I've heard parents say before that they've had to hire a tutor to help their kid with math in the summer or something, and I never knew that you had to go through the
No.
school department or something
Not
like
for
that.
that. I'm saying if you want your kids to be full-time taught by a tutor, in other words, they're not in school at all.
Well, they don't consider that home education?
Well,
No?
if you get permission of the participating agency, let's say I'm using a private school or the local district for a
Okay.
participating agency, and I go to the school and I say, look, the school is not a good fit for my kids, and I'd like to hire a tutor. This is the tutor's name, blah, blah, blah. And the district or the private school could say, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm not sure what kind of, I'm not sure if the district or the private school, if it's just something they can do without even, talking to anybody. If there's a special circumstance, as you pointed out, Helen, not a problem. I don't know what the deal is if, let's suppose I was in your district and I want to hire a tutor for my 3 kids. I'm not sure that would go over.
I'm not as well versed with the law as you guys are.
But, I just think there's so many different options now in education that parents have to be given more latitude in making decisions about how they're gonna educate their kids. But I don't wanna talk anymore because I already talked enough, too much maybe. And this isn't something that we can actually resolve here,
Okay.
but that's what I think.
But I can
is
set
at
some
the
minds at ease by saying there's no legalese that will,
No, the 51%
it's
was
just,
simply an understanding that made it easier to figure things out
Okay.
back then.
Jen, did you have something to say?
Yeah, a lot of homeschoolers use umbrella programs, like I use an umbrella program.
Okay.
And I have used for my kids like one class a year where they can get onto the computer, there's a teacher, and they learn. Now, nothing's to stop me per se if I wanted to use 5 or 6 of those. I don't, but people could be in that circumstance.
Mhm.
So that's why, in that circumstance, I wouldn't think, oh, should I not do that because it's illegal in New Hampshire, I have to get special permission. I would think, I would look to the word, like she said, provide. Am I providing my child with a homeschool education?
Yeah,
Because they don't consider this a private school in the state.
right.
So, yeah.
And I like that too. Home education shall be provided by a parent, because it doesn't necessarily mean you are instructing.
How do you?
You are just providing it whichever way piecemeal that you choose to. Thank you. Yes?
I think generally, maybe the education establishment hasn't caught up, because education is changing.
Yes, drastically.
All over the place, education is changing. I know there are, quote, homeschool parents in a couple of locations where there is a quote-unquote school for 2-3 days a week, and the homeschool kids go to that school.
Right.
It could be thought of maybe as a co-op, But then the other 2 or 3 days a week, they're home, being educated. So it's, trying to stick nice little labels on everything
Right.
can be difficult and not the best way to look at things.
Right, and that's actually precisely the model that I'm finding a lot of parents are looking at, is setting up a school type thing for 2 or 3 days a week to cover subjects that parents may not be comfortable covering one-on-one, but can do in a group. Yeah.
Yes, by the way, for those that don't know who I am, I'm Barbara Shaw, and I'm on the education committee, and Glenn and I are the liaisons from the committee. The other, I think your idea, probably I missed something before I came in, but the word provide, I think, is the key to allowing whatever. And I don't think that, if you say that you're homeschooling your child, that's all you need to do, because that's the way the law states. You notify the district that you're homeschooling your child, and how you do it, how you provide for that education is your business. And I don't think that if it's ever questioned, I think there's a good opportunity for a lawsuit right there for somebody to push, because that's what the law says. And if somebody wanted to get sticky about it, I know they've been doing a lot of talking about tightening the home education laws, and every time they do, I try to speak up and say, don't even try, because it's not
She does more than
necessary.
try.
Yeah, it's not necessary. And I think, I'll let you go on, because I don't want to dominate, but Glenn's bill on innovative schools, that's what I thought of as the cooperative type schools, that home education, because I know of a lot of people that I talk to that actually have these little cooperative groups in their towns where the kids get that